Let's go over the tasks for your research project. After watching this video, you'll get into groups of 4. Have one of the people in your group make a copy of this template and then share it to the other people in your group. To share the file, you'll click on Share, and then under Add People and Groups, you'll type in the emails to the other group members you want to share it with. Under General Access, instead of clicking Restricted, you can either click AISD or anyone with the link, and they will become a viewer. And then click Done. Next, you want to create a Google survey with 4 questions, 2 quantitative questions and 2 qualitative questions. To make a Google form, you go to your Drive, click New, and then Google Forms. You'll have a page that looks kind of like this. You could put a description that you'd want right here, and then you'll create 4 questions. So the first question, you want to create a question that has a discrete answer choice. It's a quantity that can be counted. So instead of multiple choice, click short answer, and then click the 3 dots and then response validation. You want to change this to a whole number. If the person that is doing the survey does not click or answer a whole number, you could write an error text, such as saying, type a whole number here. And then make sure that you click required, so they have to answer that question to be able to submit the survey. We'll make another question and make a question that has continuous answer choices. Now this one, it'd still be a discrete answer here since it's a specific number they're putting. But make sure to ask a question that has a quantity that could be measured for this question. And again, for the answer that they type in, have it be a number, and then click the option that you would like for them to be able to answer. On this template, I'm going to put greater than or equal to 0. And then for the custom error text, type a number that is greater than or equal to 0. We'll create 2 more questions. On the next one, you want to make a question that has specific answer choices that are nominal. So they're categories that don't have an order or a rank. For your question, you want to have 5 answer choices or less, and then other for those that it's one of the other choices besides the one that are listed. Now for other, don't click the one that says add other, just have that as an option. They don't need to specify what the other thing is for this specific survey. Click required, go ahead and click the 3 dots, and to have it less bias on the answers, go ahead and shuffle the option order. If the answers were always in that same order, it's more likely for the participants to choose the first option there. And then there will be one more question. Go ahead and just duplicate this one. But instead of nominal, it's going to be an ordinal question. And that's a quality that does have order of or rank. Everything else would be the same though. The categories, other, and then for this one, the options order does not need to be shuffled since it does have an order on there. Okay, next we're going to click on where it says responses. We're going to link to sheets. You want to select an existing spreadsheet. You're going to select the spreadsheet that you made a copy of. You'll find that and select it. Once you do that, it will automatically take you to that spreadsheet you made a copy of. And at the bottom, it will make a second tab that says Form Responses 1. You can rename this to Survey Data. Under Settings, go ahead and click on Responses. And then limit to 1 response. That is so that participants will not just take the survey over and over with the same Google account. Your group's goal should be to get a large amount of people to participate. All right, so we'll go back to the Google Sheets and we'll go over some sample data that is on here where it says template and instructions. For my discrete question, I put how many siblings do you have? Here's the data that was collected. You want to find the maximum number of the set, the median number of the set, the average number of the set, and the minimum number of the set. To do that, to get the maximum, you click in a box that's an empty cell, and you're going to click equals max. And then the list of values that you choose, you click the first cell in that data set, scroll all the way down to the bottom of the set, hold down the Shift button, and then click the last cell in that set. And then press Enter. It will give you the maximum number in that data set. To get the median, it's very similar. You click a cell, type in equal median, click the first cell in the set, hold down Shift, click the last cell in the set, and then press Enter. To find the average, same thing, except for now instead of median, you type in the word average. And then for minimum, same thing, except for now type in the letters MIN. You'll do that for both your discrete question and your contiguous question. The contiguous question I have in this example is, how tall are you in inches? Just like with the number of siblings, you would find the maximum number of the data set, the median, the average, and the minimum. Using these two data sets, the discrete being X and the contiguous question being Y, create a linear regression. To do this, you're going to click equal, linest, select the data set of the contiguous values, click the first cell, scroll down, hold down Shift, click the last cell, comma, then select the X values, the numbers in the discrete data set. Click the first box, hold down Shift, click the last box, close parentheses, enter. When you press enter, it will find the slope and it will find the y-intercept. So you need to have two cells open to do this. You also want to calculate what is called the correlation coefficient. To do that, you press equals, Correl, and then you select the continuous data and the discrete data. Just like with Linus, but instead of Linus, you type in Correl, and it will give you the correlation coefficient. The closer it is to 0, the weaker the correlation. And the further away from 0, the stronger the correlation is. The correlation coefficient will range between the numbers of -1 and +1. After you've found those numbers, you want to make a scatter plot, like this one. To do that, you'll go to Insert, Chart. It will have a default chart come up. Let's look at it off of the scatter plot. You will click under Setup, Scatter Chart, right here. For your data range, you're going to choose all of the Y values and all the X values, your continuous data and your discrete data here. You're going to combine the ranges horizontally. For the X-axis, choose the cells that are in the discrete data set. Also check the box that says aggregate. For series, you're going to select the Y values, the continuous data set, and then select median. Under Customize, click Chart and Axis Titles. For the chart title, name it your Y units by or per your X units. And then you'll click the horizontal axis title for the X label, and then the vertical axis title for your Y title. You'll write the units on each side. When you talk about the slope, for example this one, the slope of this example is 1.3 inches per number of siblings. And then you'll click Series. You're going to choose a color that you want for your scatter plot points. And then click on the box that says Trend Line, and that will give you the line of best fit. It will be a linear type, and then for the line color, choose a color that is not the same as the color you chose for the points, just to make it easier to read. Once you're done with that, you can close out the chart editor, and now let's analyze the qualitative data. Okay, the next one is a nominal example. The example is, which of these is your favorite color? Red, blue, yellow, purple, orange, green, pink, black, white, brown. And you could put other. Or you could just have those choices. So here is the sample example. You will write each category and their frequencies, and also find the relative frequency. This data set is pretty small, so you could count these up. However, when you get large data sets, you do not want to count these up. You want to use the built-in calculations. To find the frequency of the categories, you're going to click equal and type in COUNTIF. You'll select the data set. So you click the first cell, scroll all the way down, hold down Shift, click the last one, and then press comma, and then put quotation marks. The category that you're counting, in this case is red, close the quotation marks, close the parenthesis, and press enter. Now, to find the relative frequency from these frequencies, you're going to do the frequency of that category divided by the number of participants. In this case, there were 11 participants. And then once you press enter, it will give you a decimal. So it looks like the relative frequency for each of these is about 18%. And this one's about 9%, and so on. Now, as you can see, there are some categories that were not chosen at all. Those would have relative frequencies of 0. Once you have found the frequency and the relative frequency, you want to create a bar graph. So you go Insert, Chart, and this time you're going to choose Column Chart. So if you scroll down on X-axis, we're going to call that categories. For series, we're going to call that relative frequency. So the X is representing this column, and the Y is representing the relative frequency, this column. We will use the categories column as labels. Here's our labels right here. Click Customize and go Chart and Axis Titles. On the chart title, put what your question was about and then relative frequency. So in this case, it's favorite color relative frequency. On the vertical axis title, you could call it relative frequency. And then the horizontal title, name it whatever your question is about. In this case, it's color. And then click Series. The fill color, just whatever color you want your bars to be, change it to that. Once you're done with that, you're ready to go on to the last question that you have. This one is the ordinal question. The example here is, what is your shirt size? Extra, 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 smaller, smaller, extra, extra small, small, medium, large, extra, extra large, or extra, extra, extra large, or larger. In this case, there wouldn't be an other. It's just either something or larger or something or smaller. The categories, the frequency, and the relative frequency are calculated the same way. For categories, you just list all of the different choices that are there, preferably from least to greatest or greatest to least, some order there. For the frequency, again, click equals, count if, parentheses, select your data set, and then put quotation marks with the answer choice that it had. And then to get the relative frequency, you divide the frequency of that category divided by the number of participants. Once you're done with that, you'll create a pie chart. To do that, go Insert, Chart. So you go Setup, Chart Type, find and select the one that says Pie Chart. For the data range, you want to select the categories and the relative frequency. For the label, that's going to be the category set, and then for the value, that's the relative frequency. Click the box that says Use column X as labels, or whichever column that it is for your specific project. Next, click Customize. On Pie Slice, you can go to each category and change the color. Make sure that all the categories are different colors. For chart and axis titles, under Chart Title, name it, what your question is about, and then relative frequency. When doing pie charts, it is recommended to have between 5 and 7 choices. So if you were to reduce the amount of choices, for example, this kind, instead of saying 3L or larger, you could stop at 2XL or larger, and then 2S or smaller. We have more than 7 or 8 choices. It's probably more recommended to have a bar graph instead. When you're creating these pie charts and bar graphs, keep in mind what is the most popular choice, the mode, and what's the least popular choice. It is possible to have 2 or more most popular or least popular. You'll put those on your slides. Once you've finished analyzing your data, you're ready to create your slides. You can make a copy of this template or you can make one all on your own. To make a copy, go to File, Make a Copy, Entire Presentation. Once one person in the group has made a copy of the template, share it with your other group members. To do so, click Share and type in the people in your group's emails to add people in groups. Also, make sure to click anyone with the link can view it. It will by default say restricted. If you're making your slides presentation on Canva, you also want to share it with your group members. To do so, go to the upper right-hand corner, click Share. For collaboration link, anyone with the link can view. By default, it'll say only you can access. Again, you want to change that so that others can view it. To specifically add your group members, you click the plus sign for Add People and type in their emails here. Here's what needs to be included on your slides. For your research project, you're going to title it Research Project, and if you have a specific theme with the 4 questions, go ahead and add that on there as well. On the first slide, also put your group members' names, first and last names. Also include the semester and year. On the next slide, title it Survey Data Collection Overview. You want to include the number of participants in the survey here. To find that, you want to go back to your Google Sheets page. On the tab that says Survey Data, you can find the number of participants by seeing how many rows are filled in. You'll look at the last row where there is information filled in. It'll be that number minus 1. Since the first row is for the labels for timestamp and the questions. After writing that here, you also want to identify the sampling methods that you used when getting participants for this survey. You want to define and state one or more of the following that you use for this. Simple random sampling, systematic sampling, stratified sampling, clustered sampling, convenience voluntary response sampling, judgment purposive sampling, snowball sampling, or quota sampling. On the next slide, include your discrete quantitative question and choices that you had on the survey. You will have the definition of discrete data here, a quantity that is counted. Record your question, record your answer choices. For discrete, you probably want them to answer in their own number. If that is the case, just put a range. Is it greater than 0? Is it whole numbers? Could it be a decimal? Specify those things on the answer choices. From the Google Sheets page, identify the maximum, median, average, and minimum values. Make sure you also include your units. So, for example, if it was the maximum number of siblings, it was 6, put 6 siblings. Don't just put 6. The next slide, have your continuous quantitative question choices. Have the definition, continuous data, a quantity that is measured. Include your question, include your answer choices or range. And from your Google Sheets, your max, median, average, and min. And again, make sure you include those units on there. Don't just put the number, put what it means. So if it's 60 inches, don't just put 60. Okay, on slide 5, you want to have the quantitative data scatter plot and line of best fit picture on there. So include the graph, the linear equation, y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. For the slope that you identify, make sure you put the units afterwards. So the units for this one would be inches per number of siblings. Y-intercept is the initial value. It's talking about the y, so you're going to put that number and then inches. Correlation coefficient, get that from the sheets. And is that correlation positive or negative number? And is it strong, far away from 0, or weak, close to 0? On the next slide, have your nominal qualitative question choices. The definition, include nominal data, a quality without order or rank. Have your question there, your answer choices, and then have your category, your frequency, and your relative frequency. Get these from the Google Sheets. And then have a slide with your bar graph. On the bar graph slide, identify the most common category or categories. In this case, we have red, blue, yellow, and purple. And then also identify the least common categories: black, white, and pink. On the next slide, have your ordinal qualitative question and choices. You have ordinal data, equality with order or rank, and then record your table from the sheets, the categories, the frequency, and the relative frequency. And on the next slide, have the pie chart of that ordinal data. Have a picture of your pie chart from the sheets, your most common categories, and your least common categories. Again, there could be more than one of each of those. And then for the last slide, we have conclusions from survey data. You want to include the following on this slide. If the correlation between the quantitative data sets were positive or negative and strong or weak, refer back to the correlation coefficient to determine this. Also include which categories were most popular for each qualitative data set, the bar graph one and the pie chart one. And then also include the possible biases and limitations of survey gathering methods that you used. Once you're done with the sheet and the slides, you'll submit those on Canvas. On the day that everyone is presenting, you'll also fill out a research project reflection sheet. Every group member needs to fill one of these out. At the top, write down everybody's names in the group and the name of the person that's filling this out. Refer to your group's Google Sheets page to record who did what task. If you go back to the Sheets page and it says everyone and one person, you need to change the boxes that say one person to a specific group member's name. If it says everyone in the group is expected to do a version of that task. You'll write down who did each of these things. And then for the survey questions, which question did you create out of those four? Was it the discrete one, the continuous one, the nominal one, or the ordinal one? If it's one of the tasks where two people does it, put down both of their names. Then go to the next page. On the next two pages, you want to rate each person for their contribution to the project. Check one of the boxes in each row. Give specific comments and be honest. The other people in your group should not see this paper. You'll ask yourself about each group member if they did the following. This person completed their tasks neatly and accurately. If you agree, you'll check one of these boxes. If you disagree, check one of these boxes. Write down the specific notes about it. This person completed their tasks on time. This person consistently communicated with the group during and outside of class time. This person contributed the most or about the same as everyone else in the group. And I would voluntarily work with this person again in the future. You'll do that for all of the group members in your group. And then you'll also do it for yourself. While you're watching the other group's presentations, record the names of the people in each group, what you liked about their presentation, and what their group should work on. You don't need to do this for your own group's presentation, though. So, for example, if your group was group 2, you would just put our group or my group right here. There might not be 7 groups. If there's not 7 groups, you would not fill out the last one. You just fill out as many rows as there are groups, not counting your group itself. Once all the presenters have finished their presentations, you'll finish filling out the reflection paper and turn it in.